Live from JRU Radio Studios in New York. This is the Kishroni Hour. And today we do not have any guests. And and we are looking for junior reporters. If you would want to be a junior reporter, please text this studio at 347 927 927 8398.
347-927-8398.
347-927-8398 or call 718-683-5858 now to be and part of the wonderful program. And we look forward in helping you and all year long. Anyways, right now we're gonna talk about but first, Nissim, I want to ask you a question. I never asked this question. I don't believe anybody ever asked this question. I wanted to know. More of children want to know. How did J-Root Radio start?
Yes, and oh, it's a long. How did it? It's a long story, but we can. One day you can interview me.
Right. So
okay.
yeah.
Yes, J-Root Radio is basically started. It's we dealt. I don't know when since I come so-called Baal Tshuva or trying to do this. I found very things that many things that we are basically lack of information. Many of our Yiddishkeit about what is all about to be a Jewish boy, girl, what is about to be a Jewish man, and unfortunately, that's something that really in our part, and what we now, whatever I have now, is basically it's something that we open a synagogue,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody just I was in the middle of a job, and this was like funny, like 15 years ago. Somebody from Israel called me and said, Anisim, we have an organization that basically we open an organization. It's called the Dabrut, and we like to know if you are willing to run it in the United States. I didn't know what it's all about. I just said I didn't know what about. Basically the only thing that I knew that's that I'm just uh, trying to be Baal Tshuva and trying to see. And I found this organization very interesting. The concept was of Rabbi Zamir Cohen is that the media, if you cannot fight, yeah, meaning that we grew up on so many things that about religious, about what is all about to be Jewish, so wrong. Ashkafa, it's no more Ashkafa. We're talking about even in yeshivot. Talking about yeshiva boys. Think. So the idea is to come and basically to reach out to them to do it is by media, by
Wow.
the electronic media. You can print pamphlet, you can print flyers. It's still not they cannot reach the same. So that's basically what happened behind and we had a lot of non-Jewish people.
Okay, Nissim, thank you so much for
Okay,
that.
that listen to us only because we have some value on our broadcast.
Right. Okay, fine. Anyways, you can listen to us on Naki Radio and, of course, by calling 712-432-4217 or call 718-506-9099. You know our motto: no talent rejected, no child refused to participate. call 718-683-5858 or text 347-927-8398. And if you want to listen, as I just said, 712-432-4217. Or on the JU Radio app, or of course on the Naki Radio. Now, I asked 2 questions last week in Parshat Vayechi. It says Yaakov died and was gathered. The Rabbanim say Yaakov did not die, but Yaakov said he's going to die. So, well, that's the question. Did he die or did he not die? Well, one answer is it could be Yaakov thought he might die, or he knew he wasn't going to die and wanted people to realize that he wasn't going to die, and and that's actually one of the reasons why he wanted to be in Eretz Yisrael, not in Mitzrayim, because people might idolize him, make him into a getchka, which, of course, Yaakov Avinu did not want that. Now, question number 2. Yosef told his brothers, don't be afraid. Am I like Hashem? Don't be afraid. Right. So why did he say such a thing that, don't be afraid, am I like Hashem? What he should have just said, I'm not going to harm you. Well, the brothers did bad. Hashem then made it good. So Yosef said, if I want to pay you back, I'm going to need to do bad first, and then only then I could do bad. But Hashem could do this before any bad. Therefore, there's no reason to fear me. Anyway, to this week's question, answer to this week's question. You want to know the question? Why did Paro specifically choose water as killing children as the Yiddish kinderlich? Paro wanted to kill Yiddish kinderlich, the Portugals, the Yingelich, the Yaladim, not the Yaladot, the Yaladim. He started off with Yaladim, the boys. Why did Paro want to kill the boys? And why did he choose water? That's the question. Why did he choose water to kill boys? Number 2, how old was Moshe when he went to go to Bnei Yisrael to go take them out of Mitzrayim? How old was he? How old was he the first time when he went to there? The first time when he went to introduce himself to Yidden. Anyways, well, the answer will be in next show. Now, if you know the answer, you can text it in to the studio, and you could be entered a nice, beautiful raffle. We're raffling off at Naki Radio and many more stuff coming in the near future, some more things. But we're not going to talk about that right now. So if you know the answer to these riddles, you could text it in 347-927-8398. And all week long, you can text me at 347-927-3297 or call 347-927-3297. And please say your name when they ask you your name.
But Moshe,
yeah,
I'm not so fast to writing, so do it slowly.
Slowly, okay.
Slowly, you're too fast for us.
You know what?
You're too fast for us, And I know that
the mouth talks quicker than the writing.
Yes.
Anyways, I'm going to repeat the number right now. Thank you, Neeson, for that. 347-927-8398. 347-927-8398. That's the studio number. And that's the number you're going to text in the answer. And all week long, if you want to text after the show, anything, Mazel Tov, congratulations, Bar Mitzvah, Bat Mitzvah, wedding, graduation, all invitations are invited to text me at 347-927-3297. And if you know the answer to these questions that I just said, text them in all week long to 347-927-3297 to be in a raffle for amazing prizes.
Oh, just okay. No, because I'm interfere a little bit, so I just want to say that everybody that listen, we're looking for a junior reporter, right?
I'm going to just announce that next.
Okay, John. Okay, announce our junior reporters, and I will have another edition. I'm looking for a new DJ Yuda.
Oh wow! Look at that.
I'm looking
Boys,
for. boys, and I know boys, and I know that a lot of you, DJ Yuda, when he
Boys, now
started,
is your chance. This is your time.
yeah, when
So
DJ Yuda started up here, believe me,
DJ Yehuda was no DJ when he
yes,
started,
he
but he
started.
became a DJ afterwards.
No, it's not a matter. I don't want him to. I want you to come here and enjoy the be radio. Uh, like you, Moish. Remember,
Me?
you're starting
I never
here.
started.
You're starting here as helping for Rabbi Weinstein, right?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh,
And
that was good work. I like that.
you was scared, you was fearful,
I'm still a little scared.
everybody. So I just tell them that everybody can join us, and you know what? I'm looking for kids that knows computers. I know the kids that know the programming. Kids, you are ever huge talents. You can join us, make a shows for yourself, and like that junior parsha hour. It's still available. Remember Avi Galinsky? Remember
Avi Galinsky is such a good bacher. You know,
Yuda Rubin, and all the
Avi
rest.
Galinsky, we have to talk to him one week. We have to bring him in here. We have to interview him.
Yeah, I don't know if he has time for us now anymore. He's a big rabbi. He's a big magid. He's a big magid.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
He's gives share?
yeah.
No, you
No,
joking.
he's in a yeshiva. It's very staggering.
So tell him to come here. You can tell him, hey, kishroni wants to interview you.
Yeah, why not?
All right. Anyways, back to our show. You can send your mazel tovs to NEWKISHRONI hour at gmail.com. That's NEWKISHRONI HOUR at gmail.com. Or you can text it in to me, 347-927-3297. And I want to wish a mazel tov, a huge mazel tov. Avi Buell. Avi Buell, how are you, Avi Buell? Oh my goodness, Avi. It was unbelievable. You're 13 already, and we couldn't believe it. And of course, Maya Schachter, Mazel Tov to you. Yeah, I heard you were in Eretz Yisrael. And Mazel Tov, yeah. So such nice things to hear that campers of mine are bar mitzvah. So nice to hear that. Anyways, going to our June reporters, we don't have any June reporters.
We have a storyteller.
A storyteller, great.
We have a storyteller now, and let me put him on air.
We have a storyteller.
Yes.
Hang on a minute, guys.
Okay, here the storyteller. Hello, you on there?
Shalom and good evening, Rabbi Grunfeld and J-Root Radio. It's a tremendous kavod and tremendous honor to be on your wonderful Kiddush Hashem. And Mitzvah Hashem, hopefully this won't be the first time we'll be on. As a child, I always thought of the time that I would be on radio, and I'd like to give you a very big chazak baruch and yasher koach for being able to fulfill my dream at the age of 38 of being able to do that. I am a Rav in Miami Beach, and I'd like to share with everyone a number of stories with my great-grandfather, Alav Hashem. You may have not heard of him, but after you hear these stories, hopefully it'll knock your socks off, and it'll be an inspiration not only for me, but also for you as well. So do I have your permission, Rabbi Grunfeld?
Yes, you have my permission, definitely.
Okay, here we go. Everyone knows of the Heilige Chazon Ish, the holy Chazon Ish who lived in Bnei Brak over many, many years ago, and how he led Torah Jewry, world Jewry, at the forefront of everything that is holy. And the Chazon Ish one time was invited to serve as a sandik of a bris in a neighboring city right next to Bnei Brak. Givatayim was the name of the city. And right next to the city, the Chazon Ish was told that a cab was waiting for him outside to pick him up. It was in the summer months when the bris would be taking place, and it would escort him from his small, humble home to take him to where the bris would be taking place. The Chazon Ish turned to the person who was taking him and said, I don't need a cab. I want to walk on my bare feet. I would like to walk and go to this person's baby to serve a sandik. They said, Rabbi, Harav Karelitz, how could you go? It's a chamsan right now. It's a very, very hot time. And you're not a young man anymore. If you were to go out, you could get something that's called heat stroke, which means that if your body overheats because of the severe hot weather outside, you could really put your body, chas v'shalom, in danger, and you'll have to go to the hospital. The Chazon Ish was adamant, and he said, no, we do have to go. I have to go on my feet, and I will now proceed to walk. And with that, the Chazon Ish started to walk to the sandik, to be the sandik at this bris. The Rabbi who was standing next to the sandik said, Rabbi, why is it that the Rav was to go on his feet? We've never heard of that before. Said the Chazon Ish, you don't know something that I know. And that is that this little baby's grandfather, I knew personally in Europe as Gavena Groise Tzaddik. He was a very righteous man. And this tzaddik, what he did for other people, the least I could do for him, and what he did for not only the people and for me, is I could show kavod to him by walking to his anikel, his grandson's brit. Who was this person? That was my great-grandfather. His name was Rav Chaim Yaakov Avram the Parav. And the Chazon Ish said that when my grandfather, Olav Shalom, chose to leave Eretz due to the financial situation at that time, Chazon Ish told my grandfather, you should know one thing. Living as a Yid back in those days in the 1950s in America is a very difficult thing. The Zoltstavis in Ein Zach, you should know one thing. Remember who your father was. Remember what a Yid he was, what a tzaddik he was. And that should serve as an inspiration for you and your family to do the right thing. And my grandfather, Olav Shalom, used to always say that whenever he came to America and he was confronted with different nisyanis, different situations, he always thought of what the Chazon Ish told him. That was, remember who your father is. Remember where you come from. And that led my grandfather to many different decisions. Baruch Hashem, my family, Kanan Hara, all Shem Torah mitzvahs. And it was because of the decisions my grandfather made, based on what the Chazon Ish told him. My grandfather said a story that one time, when he was running away from the Nazis, Yimach Shemam V'Zichron, he ran away, and he was actually a partisan group of people who fought against the Nazis. But the partisan groups, although they hated the Nazis, not necessarily did they like Jews. So my grandfather one time was not feeling so well, and he lay down in the forest, in the woods, and the next thing he knew, he woke up, he was shivering, he was freezing cold, and his whole body didn't feel right. And he felt like he was coming down with a fever. And my grandfather thought to himself, I have to turn to the people next to me. Maybe they could help me. He turned around and he saw all the people who were with him in his group just left him there. He was all by himself. And as he started to drift off into sleep, he was running, what will be of me? Is this my final time I will be sleeping on this planet as a live person? Maybe I will die now. No one's taking care of me. And my grandfather fell asleep. And in his sleep, he suddenly saw his father appear to him in a dream. And his father came to him and said, don't worry. I'm with you and I'm going to help you. And with that, my grandfather woke up and he felt like a totally brand new person. And he wasn't even afraid anymore to walk all alone in the woods with wolves and Nazis searching. He was very confident because he knew my father is watching over me. The Shner Cutler, the Rosh Yeshiva of Lakewood Yeshiva of Beis Medrash Kavaya, learned Bechavrusa with my great uncle, my grandfather's brother. And Rav Aaron Cutler one time told Rav Shner, who is it that this Chavrusa that you're learning with in class, who is it? What's his name? He said his name is Pesach Sova. He says, is Rav Yaakov his father? He says, yes, I want to tell you a story, says Rav Aaron, the Rosh Yeshiva. He says, I want to tell you a story about your Chavrusa's father. He said, at the first Knessia Gedola, for Agudas Yisrael, I was at the Knessia Gedola, and when I was there, I saw an unbelievable Yid walk in, and while everyone was talking, suddenly the Chavetz Chaim was in the middle of talking. He stopped, he looked up, he saw this Yid walk in, he says, Rabbi Sai, we have to stand up. And he stood up. That was this Rabbi Yaakov Sova. And this, Kindlech, I would like to share with you. I have to share with you a few stories that I've gleaned from that. And you know something? I was always thinking to myself, my great-grandfather, he didn't live knowing that people were going to talk about him. But what he lived was to live like a real Yid, to live as an inspiration to Hashem. And every single one of us could be like that. When you hear stories of tzaddikim or tzidkanias, you have to say to yourself, you know what? I also could do that. I could daven like them. I could learn like them. I could try to reach those goals. I'm very young, and maybe I can reach that. So I'd like to share with you a few more stories, if I may. And that is that my great-grandfather, he was known in the city, and I read this from people who were not related to him. They said he was known as an Adok V'Kanoi. That means he was somebody that loved Hashem. And when he saw something bad happening against Hashem in his Torah, he would stand up and he would say, this is not right, and we have to fight for Hashem's honor. And he was somebody that used to go around from city to city. If he found out that there was a mitzvah that needed help, he just picked up whatever he was doing, dropped whatever he was doing, and just left and helped that city without getting paid. If he heard an Eruv needed to be fixed, he dropped what he was doing and he ran. Now, you have to understand, my great-grandfather, he was the Rav of the whole city. It's not like we have here sometimes in America and some places that you have this shul, this shtibel, and this place, this minyan. What they had in Europe was that if you, a shtetl, a little village or a city, they used to have the Rav Rashi. He was the Rav of the city. And that Rav, everyone used to have one Shabbos or a Shal Shudis or a Minchatan. They would have that the Rav would come and he would make his rounds going from place to place. And my great-grandfather, and yet he was willing to drop everything he did just for another city if they needed his help. My great-grandfather used to have a shir that he would give on Ein Yaakov. That's Agadita Gemara. That's what we would call stories, but there's no such thing as stories in Gemara. This was rather Divrei Musar, words of Chazal that were put in a story form for us to understand. Because, as we all know, we all love stories. And a lot of times, a very powerful lesson can be told to us through a story. So my great-grandfather used to say a lot of Divrei Torah in his Ein Yaakov shir and in Mishnayos shir. And he did that for the simple people. And somebody one time asked him, why is it that you do that? He said, because they need to also learn. This was my great-grandfather. He wanted everyone to learn and everyone to be involved. So Kindle, the same thing with you too. If you see that there's a boy in your class that's not learning as well as you, he's not getting a geschmack and understanding as much as he should, go over with him and say, did you understand what Rabbi said today in Shir? Did you understand what the story was? And talk to him and say to him, hey, I was thinking maybe we could play a game of ball together and think of another person. And you never know what that will do to somebody. Sometimes they've never been asked by somebody. You could do that too. That's what my great-grandfather did, and you could do that as well. No one's stopping you. Now you have to understand, my great-grandfather, he also had a specific way that he wore clothing. One time my grandfather asked him, why is it that you wear shoes without any shoelaces? We all know, boys, that if you're a righty or a lefty, it depends how you put on your shoe. Which shoe do you tie on first? The right or the left or the right? My grandfather said, Tata, why is it that you have shoes without laces? I thought there's a halacha about how you're supposed to put on the laces. My great-grandfather told my grandfather, and he said, you know why I don't wear a shoe with laces? Because the few seconds it takes for me to tie my shoes, I could be learning Torah. And I don't want to waste that time washing my hands or wiping it on, let's say, a bench or on a table. Instead, I want to learn. I just want to slip it on and go. Kinderlach, it's the same thing too. The time that we have is so, so precious. We have to realize every second, every minute we have, that's it. We'll never get that minute back. We could always make any money or toys or things or bikes or scooters or things that we may have. If we lose it, we could always get a new one. But time, you can never get time back. You're always going to be who you are right now, and you can never go back in time. And that's another thing my great-grandfather taught me, which is how you have to be so careful with time and utilize every moment, use every moment towards getting closer to Hashem. When it came time for Simchas Torah, my great-grandfather was a fire aflame, that even people who weren't necessarily part of the shul or the kehillah, they would say, who is this yid? Kinderlach, we could be like that too. Do you know what it is to have a geschmack? And like Rabbi Grunfeld was saying, all these beautiful questions on the parsha. Share that with your family. When you come to the Shabbos table, ask them, hey, do you know the answer to this question? I just heard on J-Root Radio a beautiful question on this week's parsha. Maybe you have an answer. And you never know. You might be on the next J-Root Radio show and the station as well. But more than that, what you see from that is that when you have such simcha and such a geschmack, it radiates, which means it goes out and everyone feels it. And that doesn't have to be a Simchas Torah. It could be every Shabbos. It could be every moment. You could have Simchas Torah. And the Goyim even, they said on my great-grandfather that they knew he was a Chashuv Yid. My father and my uncle, they went on a tour in the Ukraine, which is where my great-grandfather was the Rav. And they were going around asking different people if they remember my great-grandfather, they remember my grandfather. And a few people said they remembered. They showed them the house. And on their way out of of one of the cities where my great-grandfather lived, an elder guy, a guy, saw them. He says, wait, Jid, you're a Jew, you're a Jew. He pointed to my father and my uncle. They said, yes, we're a Jew. And they had a translator. And he said to them in Ukrainian, he says, I want to tell you something about your father, your grandfather. He was a very well-respected man. He says, I remember when he passed away, he passed away at night, and there were torches, and that my father's jaw dropped when he said that, because my grandfather said when he was a little kid, he was a yasam, he was an orphan, and he remembers when my great-grandfather passed away. He said at night with torches, he said the same thing my grandfather said. And they were going, wow, that's amazing. What else do you remember about the rabbiner, the rabbi? He says, I remember when we would be outside and the rabbi would walk in the street, we would put our cigarettes away if we were smoking them, not to show that like as a disrespect. We don't want to smoke in his face. And not only that, he said, whenever we would have an argument, me, Ivan, would argue with Igor about whether or not he owed me a bottle of vodka or whether I had to cut 3 crops of grain or he should cut 2. We didn't know who to go to. We knew the one person everyone could go to and trust was the rabbi, Rabbi Sova. That was the one we know we could go to. That's a tremendous Kiddush Hashem, Kindalach. When you're outside, you may not realize it, but when you wear your yarmulke, you wear your tzitzis, you wear clothes that are tzenua, clothes that are tznius, you are proclaiming to the world, you're telling to the world, Ich bin a Yid, I am a Yid, I'm a Jew, and I'm a proud Jew. When you make brachas, when you act with midas and derech eretz, and you talk nicely to everyone, everyone says, wow, that's beautiful. I wish I knew more children like that. I wish I knew more people that would act like that. And we could all do that as well. If we would understand that every person can make such an impact that even the Goyim say, let's go speak to him. They may do that to you as well. And they say, well, we don't know if this is the right thing to do. Let's ask you. And they'll walk over to you and say, do you think it's right that this boy should be doing this or this girl should be doing that? And that's the idea as well. You can make a tremendous Kiddush Hashem by the things that you do, just like my great-grandfather did. My great-grandfather was somebody that when it came to this world, he was not connected to this world. Whenever people would come and try to give him money, he would push the money away with his elbows. And my great-grandmother said, what are you doing? He says, I don't want to have anything to do with this world. All I want to do is learn Torah and get close to Hashem. I don't even want to touch money. It has nothing to me. It means nothing to me. I'll never forget, Kindalach. I had this chus of going to a very, very big tzaddik. Maybe you did also. A very big tzaddik who unfortunately was taken away from us last year. Rosh Hashiva Rav Aaron Yehuda Leib Steinman Zatzal. If you ever went into his house, or you look at pictures of his house, Rechav Chazanish Chamesh, and you look at that house, you say, what's going on over here? Why does he live like that? The answer is because this world is not what's important. It's the next world that's so important. I want my home in the next world to be a beautiful palace, and I want to be able to talk to all the Heilige Tzaddikim and the Rebbes and people that are close to Hashem, and I want to be close to Hashem. But this world, it's only a tunnel to get to the ultimate goal, which is Olam Haba, the next world. And my grandfather said, I don't want to look at even the tzuras matbeh, even the shape of the coin. It doesn't mean anything to me. And he would even push it away with his elbow, saying, I don't want to touch it. My grandfather's koyach hatzila, his great gewaldige bren that he had when it came to davening, was unbelievable. People from other cities, and I saw this in other reports, not just from hearing it from my family, people from other cities used to come to see my grandfather daven with such his sahavos, with mamish bren. He was talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he was on fire. And people got such a cheshek for tefillah. Kindalach, do you know when you daven and you say Amen, Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah, says the Gemara in Shabbos, Koirim Loi Gizardina Shel Shivim Shana. That means if HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that there has to be Rahman L'Tzlan, a horrible thing that could happen to anyone, you, Kindalach, have the power with your mouth to say Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach La'olam Olamei Amaya, and with that saying that Hashem, your name should be gebenched. Hashem tears up the decree, not only for right now, not only for next week, not only for next month or next year, 70 years. Kindalach, think about that. That's older than you. That's older than me. That's unbelievable. From what? from tefillah. Your tefillah is such a powerful thing. And if you understand that it's a gift from Hashem that you're able to daven, you would take it so much more seriously. Hashem wants to hear. He loves hearing. Amen Yeshmeh Abba. He loves with his lahavos, the davening, and every single one of us could do it. So Kindlech, a good idea might be, if you don't understand the words that you're saying, ask your Rebbe, what does this word mean? And what does the next word mean? Why did David HaMelech say it like this? Why did he say it this way? And you'll be blown away about the secrets that tefillah has to offer. And every day is a new tefillah. And the Yetzer Hara tries to tell you, oh, it's the same thing over and over again. No, it's not the same thing over and over again. Your tefillah that you did today is different than the one yesterday, and Bez Hashem, the one that's going to be tomorrow, totally different. But that's the koyach that my grandfather said. The koyach was so great. People from all over came with such a slahavos. It was so great, in fact, that when my great-grandfather passed away, they took a bunch of chains and they chained off the area where my grandfather sat. Why was that? Because in the ground of where my grandfather stood, there were grooves. Grooves means there's like little holes in the floor. Kindlech, imagine that. Next time I want you to look down at the floor when you're davening and see how flat and smooth it is. It looks exactly the same like the next piece of pane right next to it. And everything looks exactly the same. Imagine what that is a piece of ground is so indented, which means it has a little hole on the inside, the shape of 2 feet. Can you imagine what his slavos it is to go back and forth and shakol, go back and forth to daven such the slavos? People were inspired by that even when he was nifter and passed away, that those chritzim, those little holes, those indentations were still there, and it made a tremendous reshim on people. My grandfather, who davened in the northeast corner, used to daven facing towards the Aron HaKodesh, and that was the area that they cordoned off, that they put off with a chain. And it made a tremendous impact on people. And you could do that too, Kinderlach. My grandfather, the whole day, he would sit with talis and tefillin, like Yidden used to do. In the old days, we used to wear talis and tefillin the whole day. But unfortunately, we lost our kavana, we lost keeping our bodies clean. But my grandfather was very careful about that. The whole day, he would learn with talis and tefillin. He'd daven with talis and tefillin for mincha time, take off his talis and tefillin by mincha, daven marav, and then he would go home. And then he would spend time with my grandfather and his brothers and the Rebbitzin and my great-grandmother. And the story goes is that my great-grandfather, he had a very special siddur that was very beloved to him. In Kinderlach, by the way, this should tell you another thing. You got to get a good siddur. A siddur that speaks to you. A siddur that tells me why I'm davening, why it's so chashuv, and why it's important that I should daven. And he had a special siddur which he got from a sofer, somebody who was a Heilig Yid, who wrote Ksav Ashuris, and he wrote the entire siddur from the beginning to end, with, I'm sure, with kavanos behind the name of Hashem. And that was my great-grandfather's sefer that he would always use for tefillah. And there are 2 stories that were said with this siddur that at least we know of. The first one was that there was a child who was very, very sick. Now, Kinderlach, you have to understand, in the olden days, it wasn't like you go to the doctor now and he gives you the amoxicillin, the bubblegum medicine, or he gives you other medicine if you're allergic to that. And then you call it a day, it's over, and Baruch Hashem, we have wonderful medicine. Back in those days, if somebody got sick, there was a question that maybe the person might die. It was very, very, very nervous. People were very nervous about what would happen. So the story goes that a young child got sick and got worse and worse and worse. And the doctor came in and he shook his head and he said, I'm very sorry, but I cannot do anything for him. And with that, the doctor picked himself up and walked away. The mother said, oh, what are we going to do? What am I going to do with my little kid, my child? I can't lose my child. And somebody said, go to the Rebbe, go to Rav Sova, go to him and ask the Rav. So with that, she ran in, and she ran to the Rav's house, and she started, Rav, please, I'm asking the Rav, please, daven for my kid. But my grandfather didn't hear what was going on, and said the Rebbitzin, my great-grandmother, she heard, she walked out, and she said, what's going on? She said, my child's about to die, please do something. So my great-grandmother ran in, and she says, Yaakov, what are you going to do? So my great-grandmother says, daven enough then, you have to daven. And he gave the siddur to my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother immediately ran to the house with the siddur in hand. They put it under under the child's pillow and started davening. And suddenly the child's fever broke, and he was as if nothing happened to him. They took the siddur out, and they saw a tremendous yeshua from that. And the story happened that there was another time a woman who was about to push a baby out. Now, Kinderlach, again, have to thank Hashem that we have a lot of modern miracles called medicine and technology. And when a woman would push a baby out, sometimes the mother and or the baby would die because it was a very dangerous time. The Gemara tells us that b'shas sakana, at a dangerous time, the Satan is mekater, the Yetzirah says terrible things and can chas v'shalom take a person's neshama away from their body. For example, what's called shas sakana, a dangerous, says the Gemara, this is referring to when a mother has a baby. It's a very dangerous time. So when this mother was pushing the baby out, the baby got stuck, and someone said, Ayveh, you may die, the baby may die. And they said, go to the Rav, go to the Rav, go to Rav Yaakov Sova, please go to him. And they ran to him again, and they asked him what's doing. He said, Midaf Daven enough to them, and he gave the sitter, and they ran. And the story goes, it said suddenly the Kolker Rav got up from his seat and said, it's very, very schwer what's going on right now. And he got up from his seat, he walked to the house where the mother was giving birth, he tied a piece of yarn, and with that yarn he walked with it still connected to the doorway of where the mother was giving birth to the baby, and he walked with the yarn all the way to one of the shul where he davened, and he went up to the Beis HaKnesses, to the shul, and he walked up to the Aron Kodesh, and was still holding the ball of yarn. He started davening and chuckling. People were wondering, what's happening? 10 minutes passed. 20 minutes passed. After 35 minutes, the Kolker Rav claps his hands and says, Gevaldik, Mazel Tov, it's a boy. And he took the yarn with him, and he started calmly walking back. How did he know? He was in the shul davening. So somebody, he just wanted to know, he looked at his little watch that he had, his little pocket watch, and he saw what time it was. At 12:37. So he walked back, and then he hears, they hear a baby. He said, oh my gosh, what is it? They said, Mazel Tov, it's a baby boy. Everyone's fine. So one of the people said, what time was the baby born? He said, the baby was born a few minutes ago, 12:37. Same time with the Rav. The Kolker Rav saw that. His Kayach HaTfilah was great. Kinderlach, it's not just tzaddikim that could do it. You hear somebody is not well. You hear somebody that has a problem. They're trying to get a job, or they're trying to have a shidduch, they're trying to get married, or they're trying to have children. We all know people, or you have friends of yours in class that they're not doing well in their grade, or they're not feeling good about different things. You can daven for other people. You don't need to be just a Heilige Tzaddik to daven for them. Every one of us could do it. You could do it too. Just daven, think of other people. You know how happy Hashem is when he sees, look at my kinderlach. They're thinking of other people, and they're saying, Hashem, please look out for this person and that person. Hashem says, you're going to look out for other people? I'm going to look out for you. And then the Tchila says the Gemara, when you daven for somebody else, Hashem answers you, because that means you care about all his kinderlach, and that means he'll care about you as well. And the story that my grandfather used to say is that one time he heard some knocking on, he was sleeping, and he heard some knocking on the floor. He was wondering what's going on, and he looked into a little peephole, that's a place where you put the key in, and he saw into the room where his father slept. It was like a dining room, sort of living room. They didn't really have that much. It was a small little shack, small little house. He saw my great-grandfather sitting with a kittel, a white kittel that we wear on Yom Kippur or Pesach time, or people who die. He was on the floor, and he had ash on his head, and he was rolling around going, yeah. My grandfather got nervous. He's like, what happened? And he ran out. He says, Tata, what's wrong? And my great-grandfather said, no, nothing's wrong. It's okay. Just go to sleep. Everything's okay. And then my great-grandmother walked out, and she said to my grandfather, Usher, what's wrong? He says, what happened to Tati? Why is Tati on the floor? Is everything okay? Is he dying? No. My kid, he's saying Tikkun Chatzos. He's so sad that Hashem had to destroy the Beis HaMikdash, and we have to be in Galus. And every night, my grandfather used to hear my great-grandmother going, yeah, and crying over the Churban that we don't have a Beis HaMikdash right now. And he made such an impression on my grandfather. And he remembers one time he was on the floor and he was crying so much, and my grandfather was wondering what in the world happened. Why is he crying more than usual? And listen to what my grandfather heard my great-grandfather say. He says, yeah, it's horrible. And my great-grandmother would say, Yoko, what's going on? Why are you crying? What's wrong? He says, Doubler. Her name was Doubler. He says, Doubler. He says, Mashiach was about to come today, but somebody did an Aveira, and I saw Mashiach turn around and say, I can't come. The Yidden are not yet ready. My grandfather heard that. This is a Yid who thought about Hashem. He thought about Mashiach. He thought about Klal Yisrael. Every one of you, think about it. if you drop a pass in recess, you don't get that grade that you wanted to. That feeling that you have of feeling bad about yourself, just remember, Hashem feels even more bad. He says, look, I have my Klal Yisrael. They're away from the Beis HaMikdash. They're not near me. They're not near my table anymore. What's going to be? I don't want to hurt them anymore, but what could I do? I'm in so much pain, Hashem says. That pain that you feel, say, Hashem, I feel your pain. I want Mashiach to come. I want the Beis HaMikdash to be here. I want to serve you closer. And when a person says, Hashem says, you know what? I will bring Mashiach. I will bring the Geula. I will bring my Malchus, my kingship back down because people want it. And when Hashem sees people want that, that's the idea behind it as well. You don't need just to be a big tzaddik to get up and say Tikkun Chatzos. If you do that, that's great. But even if you don't, if you feel bad about something, channel that, aim that towards Hashem feels even worse. And Hashem, I'm so sorry you have to be in pain. I don't want you to be in pain. I don't want people to suffer. I want everyone to be happy. When Mashiach comes, everyone will be happy. I want you to be happy as well. And I'd like to conclude, which means I'd like to finish with two more stories, and then we're just going to go down very quickly point by point so you remember. It's always good to do chazara. And the two stories are the following. The last two stories are that when it came to my grandfather's way of shalom, he was remarkable. He was so exceptional. He was so good. The first story is told is that one time a big tzaddik, a big Rebbe was coming into town. And suddenly when my grandfather heard about it, he told people, if anyone has any questions, you could ask the Rebbe. You don't need to ask me. He said, Rav, where are you going to be? He said, I have to take a vacation. I'm going to be away for Shabbos. I have to look at another town. And this started happening very often until people started saying, Rebbe, where you go? Every time it looks like that there's a Rebbe or something that comes to town, you leave. And listen to what my great-grandfather said. He said, when the Rebbe or the tzaddik comes into town, I want them to feel so comfortable. And I don't want other people to be like, oh, I'm not going to go to that tzaddik. I'm not going to go to that Rebbe. I don't want to. Look, I have my Rav here. I don't need to go to someone else. And that tzaddik will feel bad. I want, when someone visits my city, I want them to have the full benefit of everyone coming to them. Kinderlach, that's so beautiful. That's so selfless. That's thinking of other people. If you're standing online and you see there's only one piece of something left and you're the one that's there, split the piece with the person next to you. They're also hungry. Or if you see that someone is about to take a drink and they go, I'm so thirsty, get some cups and share it with other people. Be selfless. Don't think about yourself. Think of others too. If you're schlepping a chair from one room to another because something's happening, a Rebbe's giving a mesiba or there's a speech or something happening, don't schlep one chair. Rabbi Lapian used to say, you schlep one chair, you're a schlepper. You schlep two chairs, you're a Baal Chesed. You think of other people. Be selfless as well. And the final story, this story, I have to give a little background because you'll appreciate it a lot more. I never appreciated it until a few years ago. I was doing some research and I saw this and it blew my mind away. My grandfather was a Rav from the age of 29. Now, for you to be a Rav at 29 years of age in Europe, you had to really, really know your stuff. So obviously you had to know Shas. That's without even getting off of first base. But you had to know your stuff. And the story goes is that my grandfather, when he was a Rav for a very long period of time in a certain city, that was for 31 years. And this city that he was the Rav in, there was a very, very, very wealthy family, like really wealthy. So wealthy, in fact, that even today in Eretz Yisrael, they have a city named after them. And I'm not telling you for a reason. You'll see why in a second. And what happened was, this family was not exactly as frum as they should have been. And they had a rule, which was the Rav in Shtat, the Rav of the city, when somebody got engaged, they would officially, the parents of the Kala, but they were the ones that were hosting the wedding, they would invite the Rav to be Mesader Kedushin. He would be in charge of the wedding. So my great-grandfather had a rule. And the rule was that he doesn't tell people what they have to be like, because unfortunately people in Europe thought it was the right thing to not keep so many mitzvahs at that time. And as a result of that, some people, for example, like women, they wouldn't cover their hair properly. My grandfather had a rule. At the chasana, at least at the chasana, you had to cover your hair. If you don't cover your hair, I'm not Mesader Kedushin, which is a big dishonor because he's the Rav of the Shtat. So the story goes is that this very wealthy family, she was not covering her hair. They told the Rav that. The Rav he sent back a message, well, then you're going to have to get someone else. No, you have to do it. No, some other people allowed. He says, well, I don't allow it. I'm not doing it. Finally, the time came, and suddenly the Rav wasn't there. My grandfather wasn't there. And instead, the shamus of the shul, had a long white beard, they invited him to be Masada Kedushin. When people heard about that, they were so upset. What a chutzpah. They didn't call the Rav, and this woman, she went out without her hair uncovered, not properly, and she did that. What a chutzpah. How could she do that? At least make the chasna in a different city. And people came to my great-grandfather, and he said, Rav, should we make a macha in your honor? My great-grandfather says, don't make a macha. It's not worth it. And you know something? You know why it's not worth it? You don't make a machlekes about it. I said my thing. If they didn't listen, they didn't listen. And anyways, he said, very off the cuff. And anyways, why make a big deal if it's not going to be relevant for this year anyways? Everyone was wondering, what's he talking about? Not relevant, which means it's not going to continue to happen this year. And suddenly, the Kala, a few months later, she got a very deadly virus, and she was nifter that year. When that family, the wealthy family, heard what my great-grandfather said, that you don't have to worry, it's not going to pass within a year, they said, you cursed our daughter. And people said, yeah, you deserved it. And they started fighting. My great-grandfather said, Rabbi Sai, we're not fighting about this. They made a decision. We're not, no, but it's your honor. No, it's not. Get it. My grandfather, after 31 years of being a Rav of that city, said, if this is leading to machlekes, to argument, I'm picking myself up and leaving. And with that, he picked himself up and left. In the next 9 years of his life, he was a Rav in a smaller town. He did that all for Shalom. So again, we learned was the tzidkis of my great-grandfather, how the Chazon Ish said how he would go on his feet. Even though it was a chamsin, it was a very hot time.
Okay.
They said to my grandfather, even though it's very hard to be a kosher yid in America, Zolsavitsin the Tata, remember your father. My grandfather had a dream that my great-grandfather said, don't worry, even though he was burning up with fever. He said, don't worry, I'm going to be here to help you. And he felt totally confident after that. Let's not forget the story of Shner Cutler saying who his chavrusa was. Told his father that, and Rav Aaron Cutler said, I saw the Chavetz Chaim myself stand up for the Kol Korov, Rav Yaakov Sova. And remember that he was the Aduk and Kana, he was somebody that stood up for Hashem. We also should stand up for Hashem. He would do things for other cities like build mikvahs and Eruvin. And he would have a shir on Ein Yaakov and Mishnayos for all the simple people. If you see a student who's struggling, help them. Try to be their friend. Speak to them. Lift them up. And he was a Rav of the entire city. He didn't have shoes that had shoelaces because he didn't want to waste time. Every second kindalach that we have time, let's utilize for Avodas Hashem. He had a tremendous simchas Torah and a geschmack. Let's have a geschmack in our limud Torah as well. That even non-Jews saw that he was somebody that was chashuv, that they put out their cigarettes when they saw him. And he said, I don't want to have anything to do with Elam Hazeh. I don't want to have anything to do with this world. This is only a tunnel into the next world. And his kayach hatfilah of wearing talis and tefillin the whole day. And he had that special siddur that they put under the pillow of this sick child, and also the pillow of this young lady, and he had the ball of yarn, and he had a tremendous kayach hatfilah. We too have a kayach hatfilah of Amen Yesh Meir Abba. Remember that, and get a siddur, something that talks to you, tells you why it's so chashuv in the eyes of Hashem. He had tikkun chatzos, he had a kittel, and he used to roll around in the off with the ashes, and he would say, Hashem, we almost had Mashiach, and he was right there. And if you feel pain about something, channel that into Hashem's pain, how he so much wants to do what's good for us, but he can't for whatever reason right now. And let's remember that his place in the northeast corner was cordoned off, which was, it was set aside, and it had charitzim, it had indentations in the floor because of his tremendous hislahavos. People from all over would come over from different towns to see how he would daven. You could do that too. Daven with his hislahavos, daven with a bread, with a fire, with a passion towards Hashem. And let's remember finally this idea of shalom and being selfless, that when other Rabbanim came in, he would leave to allow them to have the full exposure, that be close to people, and people should be close to them, and be nana from them. You see somebody that doesn't have something, give that to them as well. And finally, the last story that we said, with a young Kala, who unfortunately didn't listen, and he said, because of Darkei Shalom, I'm not going to have this fight in the community. I'm going to pick myself up and leave, even though I've been here for 31 years. I'm going to pick myself up at 60 and start myself all over again, just not to have a fight. Kinderlach, let's take all these beautiful lessons. I'd like to thank J-Ro Radio and Ramesh Gorenfeld for inviting me. We should continue to go Mechayel L'Chayel and the Ez Hashem. The next time we should be on the radio, it should be Shefer Shal Mashiach, and the Meher of Amen, we should hear that Amen V'Amen.
Wow, such touching stories. Wow, oh my goodness.
I have one question, Rabbi. The name sova is not popular by Ashkenaz, right?
Correct.
So where it come from? Just if you have an idea.
Yes, that's the $1,000,000 question. So I got it, and the one picture we have of my Elta Zeta, he has an up hat, and he's wearing a gartel and a rekel. So it's Hasidish. So it could be sova in Ukrainian means owl. However, as I'm doing more background, ironically, I'm a Rav of a Sephardi shul. So everyone jokes about that I came back, because there's a Rabbi Avram Sova from Gerushe Sfard from the time of the Spanish Inquisition. He authored a sefer called Sor Hamar and Eshkol HaKofer, and his name is spelled very similar to ours. His name is spelled Samach Beis Ayin. Elta Zeta, he wrote Samach Aleph Vav Vav Ayin. So it could be we stem from him, and we're great-great-grandchildren of his, which makes sense. We spell our name Samach Beis Aleph, or it could be Ayin as well. And so it could be it's Ukrainian, could be it's Swedish. So
we're all from
Mount
Sinai. We're all from Mount Sinai, yeah.
All right. Wow. All right. Very good, Rabbi Yeshua Sova. Yes, excellent job. Well, I actually didn't even know you were going to be on. Okay, fine. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yes. And that's
right. Well, we emailed you.
Right. No. I you know what? I must have forgotten. I forgot that I have so many people I'm contacting. I have like 30 people I contacted this week to stories, magician, this. So, one of you guys, I must have.
So I always say in Yiddish, Chazak u'Baruch. Yishar koach.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. All right, that was Rabbi Yeshua Sova. Are you available for hiring or no?
Yeah, of course. We could talk later if you want.
All right, so we'll talk later about it. Then I guess if you'd maybe allow, I don't know, you want to say your number, or you'd rather not?
Yeah. 732. I still have a liquid number. 732-644-7060. And I'm on Eastern Standard Time. I currently live in Miami Beach. I'm a Rav Baruch Hashem for 5 years in the Sephardi Shul, Sha'arei Ezra. And Baruch Hashem has given me a talent to really believe my stories and to inspire people with me as well. And it's a tremendous honor to be a part of this, and I thank you.
Wow, it's unbelievable. Okay, wow, there's great stories with the Zaidi. Anyways, please be mispalo for Alexander Zisha Ben Eliza, and thank you, Rav Yeshua Sova again. And we hope you have a great Shabbos, and Bez Hashem will be another week.
I just want
Bez
to...
Hashem.
I want just to tell the kids here, we're still looking for, junior reporters and replacement for shows host kids. I'm not talking about adults, kids. The DJ Yuda and junior parasha hours. We're still looking for you guys. And I know that you have a lot of talents. And beside this, Pirche, yes?
Okay.
Your Pirche.
Now, boys and girls, there's a wonderful highlight. All right, Rabbi Yeshua, you can go. Have a great Shabbos, and we'll be in touch. Okay, boys and girls over here, there's something called the Pirche hotline. The Pirche Agudas Yisrael hotline. You can call 718-663-0212. That's 718-663-0212. Baruch Hashem, we had a storyteller. I did not get to what I wanted to get to, and I will get to that next week. Please also be mispal for Noach Ben Rachel. It needs a kidney. If people want to donate their kidney, it's a big mitzvah. Anyways, this week's parsha question: why did Paro specifically choose water as the means of killing Yiddish boys? 2 answers. And number 2, how old was Moshe when he went out to identify to Bnei Israel? The answer will be in next week's show. Sponsorship is available. Advertising is available. Please call please text 347-927-8398 for that. Or if you want to advertise on my show, you're very welcome. You can email me at kishroni@gmail.com or text me at 347-927-3279. This has been the Kishroni Hour. For official Schechter follows me, and next by some special show. Don't go away.
Thanks everyone for coming. Magdimim and the Mazrizim and everything else that was here. We're not going to talk about why we're late.